Have the Victoria here, and she will tell us what was her idea and how does it change the world.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me, Robert.
My
Brilliant.
pleasure. Yeah.
Amazing. So, where do I start?
So, tell me, what's your business? Uh, how do you start, and how do you get there, and how do you help people? I think you have some amazing insights, and go ahead.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay. So, for those who don't know me yet, I am Victoria and I'm a LinkedIn personal brand strategist and developer. Now, what does that actually mean? It means that I provide done for you services, and I do everything for my clients on LinkedIn. So, everything from content creation through managing their accounts and generating the opportunities for them. And everything I do is based on organic marketing and inbound. So we don't do any of the awkward cold pitching and kind of scary outbound. It's all inbound. It's both all based on relationship and community. So one of my big values is actually community and growing a business through community. So that's what I do for my business and for the business of my clients. So that's a bit about me right there.
So, uh, let's say if I want to be your client or want to use your services, what's my profile? What would I be so you can help me or be of assistance?
Great question. So, I usually work with service based business owners, entrepreneurs, or founders. And I'm not really industry specific. So, I have a few industries that I don't work with, but usually from the past, I work mostly with agency owners or with coaches. Coaching industry is a big one, of
Mhm.
course, and yeah, that's like the two main ones for clients. And usually, these businesses are established businesses. They're looking to grow. They're looking to scale, and they have the capacity to do that as well. So usually, they already have either a team of people in their business or they work with contractors or freelancers alongside. And by established, I mean they're generating already some consistent revenue, usually multiple six figures per year, and up from there.
So, I would like your point of view on personal branding. I think that's some kind of buzzword right now. And how do you see that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you can imagine, as a personal brand strategist, I'm a big fan of personal branding,
Mhm.
big
Yeah.
advocate. And personal branding, it's a very, yes, it has become a buzzword, but essentially what it means, it's intentionally managed reputation. So you can hear the quotes, personal branding is what people say about you when you're not in the room. It's a perception and all the other kind of explanation, but it is really just a reputation that you intentionally manage, right? So rather than you having someone else go around like, yeah, have you heard about Robert, what he does, and so on, you actually do that and you're your own advocate and you become known for something in your industry or in your expertise, right? So, for example, I am known for being a personal brand strategist because I intentionally talk about personal branding and LinkedIn in specific, in more, that's my kind of expertise, right? Some people might do personal branding on another social media. Some people do personal branding live in events, right? So my specialty is to do it on LinkedIn. For example, your part of personal brand is to be known business coach because you intentionally talk about that. You intentionally speak about the specific parts that make you you. Now, the important thing about personal branding, so if you put it in perspective, right? If you think about someone like Stephen Bartlett, who runs multiple companies, right? And then you look at the company following, I believe last time I was checking that his following on his own personal brand, we're just talking LinkedIn, has been around 4 to 5 times bigger than the following on his company pages, right? And why is that? It's because people connect with people. Storytelling is a huge aspect that plays a big role in there, but people really want to know who is behind. They want to know the mission, vision, and more importantly, they want to feel that they are a part of that mission. That's what really resonates and what people often forget. They're like, "Oh yeah, this is my vision statement, mission statement. Now everyone, let's join me," right? It's not. It's why should they care, right? So that's a really big part. And as I said, with numbers, you can't play. This Stephen Bartlett was just one example, but there is multiple people out there that if you went and you searched for them versus their company pages, you will find that their company pages might have some following. However, their personal accounts are often a lot more powerful. It's because there's the story. You can create a brand story and you can talk about the company story, but you cannot just create a personal story. It's usually lived and experienced experiences that people talk about. So that's what makes us us, and no one can take that away from us.
Well, I think yes, it's a new paradigm. I usually, for years now, I have been when I went to the website of some kind, I always look at about us section and think about that. And I was talking to a lot of people recently in last I don't know, let's say 2 years, and if I didn't get the who is behind this, who is the owner of or the creator of the business or the product, I usually just say, okay, that is not for me. I want to know who is there, not just because of the scams that you can get, but because of this interaction. And I have interacted with some people, and I said, okay, guys, I want to see who is behind, and they actually get back to me and say, okay, I'm a little nervous about being out there because uh, some things. And I said, okay, why? You're doing this product, you think this product is serving people, and if you think so, you're not the I don't know, that sleazy salesman who's trying to I don't know, give you a crappy car for as much as they can get, but you're really helping people with this product or service you're doing. So why that attitude? And a lot of people uh, uh, did that and changed the things, and really things change for them because they get out there and they say, okay, this is me behind the curtain. And
Yes.
it's also some uh, great for them to be more open, to be more I don't know, active in the thing of thinking, okay, this is really something, not just to make money, but helping other people.
Exactly, exactly. And what I was about to add to what you just said there, so people often shy away and that about us part, right? It creates, especially if you are new to the business, if you're starting out, or if it's something new that you're venturing into and actually featuring yourself as the person behind all of this, there's a level of vulnerability that goes, and that's also when you actually put yourself out there. It doesn't matter when if we are speaking now about LinkedIn or any other social media or any other different way, when you actually go in as okay, I am going to start building my personal brand. The big thing that is not as talked about is that vulnerability aspect. You actually need to get out there and tell people this is what I'm doing and stand behind that, whether it's a success or a failure. You have to actually go out there and tell them, okay, this is my story. If you like it, I would love to welcome you in my world. If you don't like it, that is okay. I am not for you. And just by saying that, many people get vulnerable because there is this I want to be liked by everyone factor, right? And I just want to have everyone as friends, right? You need to really step out of that paradigm and just really be like, if we connect, amazing. If we don't, there's probably other person who you will connect with, and I am just not for you, and that is okay. That is okay. The acceptance is really hard to kind of combine.
Yeah.
And just from my personal journey, I know that personal branding is, well, personal branding matched with business growth is one of the biggest personal development lesson I have ever done. And I know that with my clients as well, they have grown their businesses. So there is certain level that they know already. But now that there is a time for them to actually go in and build that personal brand, I know often when we start and when I would create content for them from our conversations, it's not me putting words into their mouth, but it's when I transcribe those words and when they're supposed to go public, that's when they're like, oh, that is scary. Are you sure we should say that one? I was like, that's how you said it to someone in a private conversation. That's how you should say it into the world. Because when you make your social media feel like you're actually speaking to someone on a coffee chat, that's when people connect. Or they decide that you're not a person for them, but that's the real connection that you're looking for. You want people to feel like you're speaking to them, whether you will trigger them or whether they will agree. And you have to be very firm and stand behind your opinion as well. You have to say something out loud and don't be afraid if someone calls you out, because that might happen and that is okay, because everyone has different and everyone is entitled to their own opinions, right? Again, if you say something, oh, I'm going to build a seven-figure business by next year, just by putting it out there, you'll have many people join that vision and tell you, okay, I'm going to join you too. Let's do this together, right? Or they'll follow you and they'll support you. But you have to open yourself to a possible failure too. The worst case scenario is that you will not manage that and you will get 50% through, maybe 70%. And you have to accept that, because that's just a part of life and the journey. Now, when it's but when you achieve that, obviously you celebrate that with the community that you built along the way. So yeah, I just wanted to really note on the vulnerability aspect of this, as people don't speak about that, but it is real.
I like that. So you shared already shared two I don't know advice. First, to be authentic, to speak whatever you want to tell. Steve Jobs said, "Don't try to please everyone. If you want to please everyone, sell ice cream." Uh, and the second is be prepared to fail. And I like this very much. I tried several things. I will not talk about it today, perhaps because it's too much of everything, but I like challenges. And I don't like, the part when you say to set goals in, to be achievable. I don't really like that, because if you set goals to be achievable, you are not changing yourself. You just try to grind more to be a little bit more of what you already are, and that's kind of lame. I think mediocre. If you set goals that are like you said, I want to make six-figure business. Uh, it's that change that you want to make on yourself to achieve that. It doesn't it really matter if you fail. You accepted that possibility that you fail, but you are going into that direction. So if you are not standing still at your pile of dirt, but you're going somewhere far better. So
Exactly.
Yeah. What else would you say is the right approach on LinkedIn or personal branding, whatever prefer, or perhaps both?
Yeah. So let's talk about both actually. So the promise of our LinkedIn Live is to actually share some actionable advice of how you can turn your content into cash, right? On LinkedIn. So obviously my specialty is LinkedIn, and part of that is obviously I do it through personal branding, and how you actually can go online and do the right things to really use LinkedIn as a business development tool. Now, I do this through my 4C's framework, and I do it by content, community, connection, and conversation. And I can dive deeper into each one of them, of course. So,
Yeah.
with content, you want to make sure that you are speaking to the target audience. And just as I said a while ago, you want people to feel like they are the only person that you are speaking to, right? So don't worry about speaking to everyone. Choose that one person. You can create a persona. Here's a little trick I discovered a few weeks back when I was actually writing my content. I pulled a few profiles on Instagram. So I was like, okay, this would be amazing if I could ever work with that. So a completely dream client. And I imagine I was writing content to them. That's just one person in front of me, and I was writing for them. So that was a huge help for me, right? So you can create that persona, or you can actually find who fits your persona and write for them. So that's the content. Make sure it's captivating and make sure it speaks to one person. Now you have the connections. Make sure, obviously, on LinkedIn specifically, you have the option to send connection requests. So make sure that when you are on LinkedIn that you actively expand your network. So if you can send 2 requests per day, go ahead and send 2. If you can send 5, go for 5. If you can send 10, great. And do this as a habit, right? Make sure that you use the LinkedIn filters to actually find the right people who are in your target audience. So don't just blindly add everyone. Find the people who fit your target audience, or people who are doing maybe something similar or maybe something in different industries, but who have your target audience. So it's about a strategic connection.
Mhm.
Next step is the community. So community or comments. I intentionally call it community just because comments can feel like a chore, whereas when I speak about it as a community, I know that there is actual people behind the comments and behind the profiles. So what I mean by that is actually go out there and talk to people in the comment section. Build that sense of community, of belonging. Don't just expect to streamline your ideas just as we are doing here. It's a part of a community building, right? And we have the chat open as well. And we will be speaking to people after this call. That's a community, right? But actually, there is time of our day when we go out and when we actually talk to people in the comments, so whether they have an opinion and we agree, potentially disagree, or we can add something from our experience, right? That's the community building. It shows that you care. It shows that you're not just there to tell them what to do and then do it or work with me. It's more like, okay, I do care. Maybe I can provide you some value. If you want more, of course, we can have a chat. But if this is exactly what you need, well, here I am giving it to you for free because I care for your success. And that brings me to the last C, which is the conversation. And this is the most terrified piece, or people are most terrified of doing this, and most underestimated as well. And it's actually getting into the conversations, into the DMs, and having one-to-one conversations in the chat, right? That's when the real magic happens, right? So yes, most of my businesses have, or like my most of my clients have still come from my content, so the inbound leads. But actually, a lot of conversations have helped to tip my clients over the edge. And it doesn't mean that I go in and I cold pitch them. It means that we build a relationship. I provide value to them. We keep talking, and then when they are in a position like, okay, so I got the value. Now I have the budget, or now is the time for me to actually start thinking about it. I've been speaking to Victoria, so I don't have to go blindly look for a person. I already have someone in my network who I can reach out to, or potentially be like, yeah, this is a good time for me. She seems like she knows what she's doing. She seems like a nice person to work with. So this is what your personal brand steps in, right? Your
Mhm.
personality. Let's speak to her. So that's the magic formula. That's the 4 C's that I use. It's very simple. It's just about nailing each one of them and improving them consistently.
So, if I have a question for personal branding or something about LinkedIn, can I DM Victoria and she will give me a valuable answer?
So that is a great question. As long as it's something, how do I explain this? So, yes, I always strive to provide value. There is a lot of value in my content. So, sometimes when people ask me questions, I'll point them to my posts, right? Sometimes, if it's a quick answer, I will go ahead and answer. But sometimes I had occasions when people were asking me to review their content or to do something where it's a job that my clients pay for. It's just not fair for me to go ahead and give you your full strategy to execute if I have clients paying me for their strategy building. So I'm just trying to always maintain that balance of how much value I give away for free. And yes, I do believe if I can give you everything right now, just as I told you, this the 4 C's framework, use every day for me, for my clients. You can go ahead and work with that. If you need that personalized approach and you need someone to work alongside you or do it for you, that's where I would draw a line and be like, brilliant. We can have a chat if it makes sense for us to work together, but I cannot fulfill your personalized strategy.
Yes, excellent. So, uh, let's talk some numbers. If I want to, I don't know, hire you, and what could I expect from the my investment, and what could I expect as a benefit of it?
That is a brilliant question. So I always like, so I had some conversations and people were asking me about the promise or the promise ROI. Now I can almost 99% of like out of 99% of cases, I can promise you account growth. I can promise creation of community around your brand and really growing the analytics on LinkedIn, right? That while that is an important part, we all know that the analytics and the green numbers don't grow our businesses, right? They're a part of that, then contribute to it, but it's not a direct outcome we are looking for when we are growing a business. When it comes to actual client results, I will have to say that the results vary. So I had a client, well, we are still working together right now, and they have generated a 5-figure pipeline in below 2 months of working together. So that is a very specific case, and they have generated a pipeline of 14,000 euros, I believe that was, and they closed more than 50% on that. So it was way higher than 50%. Now I have clients who require a little bit more attention or a little bit longer collaboration, I would say. I always recommend for clients to work together for at least 6 months. That's like the bare minimum. And that is often because everyone starts working with me at different level. Some people have been already on LinkedIn for some time, posting sporadically or just posting quite general content, and they have generated leads, but it's not very consistent, and LinkedIn is maybe their new platform. So that in those cases, lead generation takes a little bit longer. Now, someone who is already established have been posting content for some time have been really active on the platform, which is the case of this client I just mentioned. It was just about really nailing the strategy, and we're able to generate leads very fast for that person. So it's
Mhm.
very, very personal depending on where you are. If I have a conversation with clients, I can tell them more or less realistically where can they be in about 6 months. But again, it's just based from my own experience, and it may or may not happen. I may exceed the expectations in the first few months, or it might
Mhm.
turn out that it actually will need a little bit more time to really nail that in.
Okay, how much will it cost me, or how much will be my investment if I want to work with you for 6 months?
Yeah. So I have different packages available, but the starting price usually, and we are talking LinkedIn done for you. So everything I just mentioned, from content through connections, community management, and the DMs managed. That's starting price is somewhere around £2,500 per month.
Excellent. So, if I want to do it alone, you suggest I also follow your framework and do it manually and try to achieve what you would otherwise help me with.
Absolutely. So with that framework in mind, if you want to do your LinkedIn on your own, and I think that's a great thing. I don't think everyone has to aim for outsourcing their LinkedIn. Depends on your vision, where you are at, and many other aspects, right? Now, when we're talking about how to use the framework, that framework is there to remind you what needs to be done. You know that content should go out consistently. I recommend at least 3 times a week. Really, even if you're starting, aim for at least 3 times a week to see results. If you do any less than that, it's still, you can start, of course, with 2 posts per week, but I would aim to up it to 3 times per week as soon as possible, just because the time to generate results is a little faster. The results happen faster. Now, with connections, again, it's something to do consistently. With community management, you know that you need to consistently be out there and put yourself out there, right? And speak to these people in the comment section, build that relationships. And again, with conversations, it's something that needs to be done consistently. It's not one day and then I disappear because leads start flooding in. So that framework is that starting point. And then, as I mentioned earlier, you want to start looking into each aspect more in depth and improving. So you can start with content, improve the content piece. Then you look at the connections. Okay, am I actually adding the right people into my network? Am I actually commenting under the right people in my network? Am I doing the good job of doing that? And then lastly, again, am I speaking to the right people? Am I going maybe too early into the pitch? Or am I too shy from going ahead and asking them for a call, right? So it's about looking at each aspect individually and then improving that level up.
So, about the community, are you suggesting you just have this, I don't know, like list for yourself, or do you suggest to make some kind of group that everybody connected?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not towards the group. So I am very against LinkedIn or any other pods on social media, because what happens is, from the algorithm point of view, you will be only shown to the people who are in that group. And if
Mhm.
the people who are in the group, it can be group of friends, peers, whoever, if they are not your target audience, there is no point to be visible in front of them, because they are not going to be the people who will buy from you. So that
Mhm.
brings me back to something I said earlier. The green numbers don't pay your bills. They don't grow your business. Like, they are related to the business growth when they are done organically and in an authentic way. If you inflate those numbers, and there is no real reason behind that. You just do it because you have this peer group and you're commenting under each other's post. Is not going to get you absolutely anywhere. So there is a way to do strategic partnerships, but that has nothing to do with actual engagement. So make sure that your community is built in an authentic and real way. You want real people to be in your comment section, because when you're building something, so think about it from the perspective of, I am building a new product and I want to ask my audience if this is something interesting to them. You don't want all your friends to go, oh my God, amazing, that's the best idea. No, you want real feedback, right?
Okay.
And this is something I went through just now, the real feedback, right? So you want to ask the people and see what they think and just have it honest, not just, oh yeah, this is the best idea. And then once you launch it, it gets one person who buys it and that's it, right? You want to grow your business, not just the numbers.
Okay, another thing, a lot of people ask me how to get ideas for posts, especially if, like you suggest, post 3 times.
So, how to get ideas? Great question. I actually heard something really interesting. And this is going to be my post in a few weeks. So, you're going to get a preview. Taylor Swift, one of the biggest pop artists, most successful women in business that we know, right? All the Swifties here. I know she's brilliant. Now, in terms of what she does, she said it in an interview, I believe it was in 2015, when they were asking her about how does she come up with the album ideas. So what she does, she has an app on the phone, I believe it was the Notes app, and every time she has an idea, she notes it down, even if she is not creating an album. So what does mean, if when she's actually creating the album and she's looking for something sassy, something specific, she goes through her huge pile of notes and she looks for specific topics. She spoke about specifically talking about the song Blank Space and how she created that. And it was all about going into the notes and taking the specific sentences out and piecing them together to one song. What does that mean? Make sure you have a place somewhere where it's simple. So some people like to have a WhatsApp group with themselves, so you can add a best friend and then kick them out into a WhatsApp group. That means that the group is just you only, and you can post their voice notes, right? So I know a few people, and when they're driving, they just hit it and record, and they continue talking while they're driving. Some people like to record themselves, right? So they'll do a video and they'll store it somewhere in a specific album. Some people like Notes app, Notion, anything where you can store ideas is a great idea, and make sure you have it always on you. So I have two things. So I actually have my little blue notepad that I always carry around whenever I'm traveling. So that is my number one if I don't want to take out the phone. And the second one is, of course, my phone and the Notes app. And every time, if you hear a podcast, if you're walking, if you're in the gym, right, and something comes up, you just write it down and then you continue, because you know that idea is saved. And when you're actually sitting down creating content, you're never starting from a blank page.
Excellent. I like the voice recording on my phone. It drives my cat crazy because I'm usually doing it when we already go to sleep, and it always wakes him up, and then he wanders around what's going on and things like that. But I usually have the best ideas late in the evening while lying in bed, and I'm recording that because I don't want to turn the light on and write something down. And I also like writing. It's much easier than taking notes. So I like recording or writing on the paper.
Yeah, that is a brilliant thing. So like, I even sometimes, for me, ideas come when I'm just past working time, so I'm implementing strict boundaries with myself, because otherwise then I'm always working or thinking about work. So when I'm not working, that's when the ideas come. So what I actually started doing, I have a specific folder when I'm scrolling either Instagram or LinkedIn, where all the posts I save them, and then when I'm writing, I'm like, okay, I know I saved a few things when I was just lazily scrolling. So let's go back to them and let's write about those ideas.
Yeah. Mm, excellent. Excellent. So I think we're past the our time. Thank you for great advice, great insights. Would you have some final thoughts?
So, some final thoughts. No, first of all, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. And final thought is, I know most of the people out there are overthinking their personal brand, their content, and their LinkedIn presence too much. So know that the first post is going to be seen by a few people, and that is okay. And everyone's first post is a cringe. The other day, I found my first post and I absolutely cringed. So we all started somewhere. Just start somewhere. Because then when you start, it will be a lot easier to improve and implement the improvements that someone else suggests.
Well, I must add something to this. I I was talking to one of my coaches, and we were talking about videos, and and he said it was game changing for me. He said your first 100 videos will suck. Uh, so I'm far from that first 100. So I know for every video I'll take, it will suck, and it's somehow liberating because I don't have high expectations. And the same is with posting. You just have to start like when you're a child and you start walking, you don't care about how you walk. You just want to, you just know where you want to be and how you want to get, and that's
Exactly.
it. Just
Exactly.
start, like you said. Thank you. You were a wonderful guest, and I hope we will repeat
Thank you
that
very
soon.
much. And I hope for the same. Bye, everyone.